because the other one we call it sangria or borgoña. Borgoña, especially when it has strawberries, morango. So they have different names here, of course. We have like a lot of Spanish heritage, which is really interesting. That's why we have all this like wine-based stuff, you know. But basically, at the end, people were drinking this. It was like a lot of like, you know, wasn't like a middle class, like in society before the 1929, which it was really interesting because it was rich people and poor people. Anyways, okay. I'm generalizing, of course. There's a lot of stuff that happened, but so for the sake of the story, okay. After the Big Depression in 1929, it was really fucked up in the world in general, of course. And then you find like afterwards they created a lot of jobs, and there was a lot of people in the country situation. In Chile, at least, it was like becoming really well and going up, you know. So we started having this like people that had money actually to spend, but they were not rich, it's middle class. And let's say from the 40s until the 80s, it was more or less like that. It was increasing, like in the world in general, but of course, you know, your countries, it was different in different countries. Brazil was different. Until, of course, there was a dictatorship in the middle of Chile in the 70s, and society was keep on going, and Chile became a little bit more capitalized as a country. Answering all of this has a meaning, okay? Society and these people also were really overwhelmed by working a lot of hours and not like having fun, so they were drinking a lot of cheap stuff, okay? One of the cheap stuff, if you were living in Santiago in the metropolitan area, you will find like cheap wine, Scheißweißwein, yeah? Shitty white wine, which we call it pipeño. Pipeño. And pipeño, we call it pipeño, is basically white wine, but lower quality white wine that comes out of pipes. We call it big barrels, okay? We call it pipas. If you look for pictures, you're gonna find it. If you've been in the tour before, remember? Do you see like when they put the wine, cuando ponen el vino, y esos barris bem mayores? Eso es uma pipa. Pipa. A gente fala de pipa. Então, when you take the wine out of there, you just can put it in the small like 50 liters like barrel to age it, and it's like a really best wine in the world. Of course, the small wineries, when you prepare the grape and you have the shitty grapes, you don't choose them and you don't throw it away. You sell it to smaller wineries. That's what they do. Like this one, exportación. It's a shitty wine, but look where is, you know what's the owner of this one? Conchitoro. They say Conchitoro is the best wine in the world, but they still sell this shit, you know? My mom uses it for cooking.
Shitty wine.
Shitty wine. Cheap, you know? When it's shittier than this one, and they don't want to call it Conchitoro because it doesn't have the standard quality for shit, this shit. They call it pipeño. You know? The grapes I'm talking. They sell them and they prepare it and they sell out this like 5 liter like glass, you know? And you're like, what the fuck is this? You know? That's what we drink in Chile. And that's what people used to drink before because there was no money for that, okay? In Mexico, there's a guy. In Mexico, they have, I always find it really interesting, they have un derivado that comes from mezcal, which is a Tonayán. Tonayán is really shitty and it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as our like pipeño. But I was really baffled when I found out that Tonayán was like the same barrel. I'm gonna show you the picture. It was like this, 5 liters, $3 for 5 liters of alcohol. Fuck me.
But it's always white or was red wine?
In the recipe, it was always white wine. In this case, okay, because when you started blending with the other wine, people used to drink.